Hello and welcome to Study in Slovakia. Today we are going to discuss about our university where we are graduate from Technical University of Kosice. And for that we have Nithin bro with us, who's a graduate from there, myself being a graduate, and Mr. Peter, who's the advisor for the admissions. So we have like this information package today about Technical University of Kosice and how do we apply, how do we get in. It's going to be several steps, parts of the video where we're going to discuss how do we apply, how do we get in, what to prepare, okay, and what are the initial things we need to do when we come here for the first time. Let's get into the video. First things first, Nithin bro, share us some insight. What's the admission process to get into TUKE? Like, do you need statement of purpose, letter of recommendation? Is there a competitive exam, interview? How is it?
Okay, so I'll start with my personal experience, how I got into Technical University and what was necessary documents initially. So as other universities, there is no difference with Technical University. Yes, every university requires LOR and SOP, letter of interest. So it's better you write your motivational letter on your own, because during the next steps, during the Skype interview. So once you apply for the university will schedule a Skype interview with you to know what you know about the university and what you know about the subjects or course and everything. Okay. So these are the documents. So SOR, LOR, SOP, all these documents. So yes, it was required, and yes, in the Skype interview, we will be talking about those documents.
And what are the questions that they asked you for the Skype interview?
Okay, so in the questions, in the Skype interview, they will be asking about our previous study. So what we have studied in India or any other universities, we completed the previous education. The
high school, you mean, for the bachelor's people?
For bachelor's, yes, high school. For the master's, it is the bachelor's degree which you have. So what you know about it, and what was your favorite subject, and what is the upcoming subject you will be studying, and what is the motivation to take up the particular program. So why not choosing a different program? So you should be ready with the answers. And what do you do after graduating? So for example, after studying masters, so you should not tell them after completing a masters in mechanical you will be getting into a IT company. So that's not the motivation you should have.
That is true. So like they want like skilled people to bring them in, give the education, and also to work in a similar field. So also you wisely choose the specialization you want to get in. In my case, it was the vice dean of the faculty who took my interview, and he asked very basic questions like, do you know mathematics? He asked about some topics, and it was like some general trends like why do you choose Slovakia? What's so interesting about the university? But further on, same question which he asked, like, what do you want to do after the degree? And he asked me a bit about the projects that the faculty was doing at that time. Just on a side note, in Slovakia, faculty means departments. In India, we call faculty as teachers, so it's a bit different in terminology. So what the faculty's projects are, he asked me about that. But what's your experience, Mr. Peter, in general about this interview stage? How do students perform and do prepare for it?
Yes, so usually after the application is submitted, there is some time. Sometimes it's like 1 week, sometimes 2 weeks. Like the closer you come to the deadline for applications, the faster you get the interview. Usually there are groups, let's say 5 to 8 students. Every student has around 15 minutes for the interview. The interviews are conducted either by the vice dean or teacher or PhD student. It's very different, and it's mostly about seeing whether the student is motivated, and also what is the English level of the student.
That's very important. The spoken English needs to be at least in a good state, so you can communicate, because you're going to study in English and communicate with everyone in English. So that's an important part. The second thing is, like, once you do this application, get your offer letter, congratulations. Now is the next part. preparing for the visa. So apart from the documents and, the, let's say, this sort of boring work that someone's going to do or you're going to do it, like, what's the main part when you go to an embassy? What are they looking for? What are they asking? Nithin bro, what was your experience when you went for the embassy?
Yeah, before we talk about visa interview, we should be highlighting this. Technical University does not need any competitive exams. So that is one good part about our university. For now, at least until now, this IELTS and this English proficiency exams or the other competitive
TOEFL
exams.
And those.
All these. So our university fortunately does not need all those. So that is one good part. And going on to your question with the Skype, embassy interview and the possible questions in the embassy interview. So sharing my experience with embassy interview. So basically, we should know where the Slovakia country is and what borders does Slovakia share with, and the neighboring countries, capital city, weather in Slovakia, and since we will be studying in Technical University of Kosice, what is Kosice in Slovakia, like second largest city, what is the population and what language do they speak, and all of this. So you should know about the country, you should know about the weather. So let's say in winters it is -12 to -15, extreme winters, and during summer it is let's say positive 30 to 32 degrees Celsius. So it is better to be prepared for that extreme temperatures during winter. And these are the possible questions. So highlighting is capital cities Bratislava, neighboring countries like Austria, Hungary, Poland and Ukraine, and Schengen. So Slovakia is part of Schengen country, and there is it's part of European Union. What are the advantages of being in European Union? How many countries can you travel with the Slovak visa you have? And all of this you should know. And since you're coming to Slovakia, spend some time online and finding about Slovakia. And of course, you can see our channel and it has more videos about it.
Yeah. So for me, they asked me like, what do I plan to study and why that particular field, and what do I plan to do after that? So obviously, like, instead of telling like, after completing bachelor's, I told them like I'm gonna go for a master's, and then they told what after master's. So I told them I'm gonna work in mechanical field. So it entirely depends like the field you're working, because they really don't want like unskilled people. Like as you mentioned, like as you study something and then you work in randomly something else. So they want people specialized in a particular knowledge. And that's what they're looking for as well. Mr. Peter, give us some insight, like what do students in general face as in like these questions, to prepare for the embassy itself?
Okay, definitely.
And also give us some information about Slovakia in general that people should know before coming over here.
Yeah, so definitely the embassy will ask questions to see if the person is genuinely interested in studying.
Okay.
There are, of course, like some questions which, for example, if the student is first questions to the agency or to the universities asking just about the visas, then it's like clear that that person is not coming to study, but like maybe looking for some other opportunities. The embassy will conduct interview. I think it has maybe around 20 to 25 questions. I think they ask even about like who helped you with documentation, how much did you pay for it, and what is your study program, who is teaching you, how many years are you going to study, what are you going to do after the graduation. So these are the questions which the student should like convince the embassy that the reason for coming is really study. Yeah. There will be also some basic questions like capital of Slovakia is Bratislava. There are 5 million people of the whole country, which can be incredible low compared to population of maybe some cities of India.
Yes.
Like we touched already the climate. The official language is Slovak. So these basic questions which will convince the embassy that yes, this person knows at least basics and is coming to study.
Genuine student.
Genuine student, yes.
Yeah, I think that's important for me. They asked me like, why you do want to study mechanical? I had like a straightforward answer. I was like, Slovakia is the per capita highest producer of automobiles, so that's why I'm going to study mechanical.
So did you get also some ethical, like maybe some hints, like what to do and what not to do?
Yes, as well, like because the interviewer told me, like, because she liked my application, she was like, you're a good student, it seems like, so don't go and drink because people go over there, drink a lot of alcohol, don't do that. So
about casino, did they tell?
No, they didn't tell me about casino. Did you have any experience with some student about casino?
Yes, we have some very enthusiastic casino players, but that's maybe for another video.
Yeah, but by the way, Mr. Peter, like, let's do this thing. Let's put a pitch within a minute. Pitch to our audience, Technical University. Why should they come? What are the study programs and everything? Yeah, let's start it.
Yeah. So Technical University is public university which is recognized everywhere in the Europe, and these programs which you can learn, they offer you competitive advantage in the market.
Exactly.
Like you might heard that there is Volvo opening its factory in 4 years close to Kosice.
Yeah.
A lot of car production, IT, big demand for the IT professionals, and you can study all these programs which has high potential in the job market.
Yes.
We did plenty of videos with the potential employers. So definitely there is, for the really reasonable price, especially if you compare with the UK, Canada, US, you can study maybe for 25% of the funds, get similar level of education, and then even stay in Slovakia, get like residence permit for long term, and then settle here.
I mean, like, that's really very interesting because, like, I personally as well applied for the US, the UK, Canada, and so on, but the fees over there was like $20,000 and like really expensive, whereas compared, like, as you mentioned, it's like 25%, 30% maybe of that fees amount. And the best part was, like, I could take this one visa or this one residence card and travel around like throughout Schengen area, working in any country, having internships, doing without requiring a visa. So that was like the biggest, let's say, buy for me in the first place. But share some insight maybe about like how does it, like, what to prepare mentally and what are the things to bring in the very first place. Like maybe Nithin bro, you can share some insights, like what did you bring and what people should be.
Yeah, once after our interview with the embassy, so once we get our visa stamped, so once we have our flight tickets, we travel to Slovakia. So what to bring to Slovakia is, first things is buying adapters, universal adapters, because Indian plug points or your mobile chargers or your laptop chargers won't work in European plug points, so sockets. So get the adapters, universal adapters. It is really worth buying them. And the next thing is about clothing. So it's better to have initial clothing. So usually you come during August, September or October, let's say. So it is always better to get some winter clothes for initial days, and of course you can buy them here, which serves better during winter because in India we don't have that extreme temperature. So buying jackets or winter clothes here is better, I would suggest.
Definitely.
But initially coming, you need at least one jacket and a few thermal wears and sweaters and shoes, all this.
Yeah.
So buying these and getting them with you is better. And look at the food items you get, because initially for at least 5-6 days you need some ready to eat things, or just to be safe, like you don't know where to go buy what. So just to be safe, it's better to get few things for initial days, and later on of course we will be here to help you where to buy and what to buy and everything.
Yeah, so like all in total it's like this package. But by the way, did you need an insurance to come in, like health or travel insurance?
Yes, I would suggest it is a mandatory document for when you're applying for any international visas. You should have international insurance for 90 days because you get the D visa which is valid for 90 days. So it is better to get it there for 90 days and then you come here, and it is better to buy insurance here as a student. Yeah, the local ones, and there are multiple options, and during studies or when you're a student you get it for a cheaper price, the insurance, and it is always recommended to have one, so
yes,
you are covered, and that's the biggest expense anybody can have. You never know when you can fall sick, so
yeah, that's true, because without an insurance it's really expensive here, so it's better always to have an insurance. I personally remember bringing like obviously a ton of clothes which I shouldn't have done, and then obviously these some things like some of the utensils, like let's say pressure cooker and something like this, which is like a little hard to find over here. So yeah, if you have typical, then your spices and masalas and all that, so these are the things definitely you can bring with you, and as you mentioned, these adapters and all these things, so that's also something that you should keep in mind. But don't fill up your bags with like a lot of clothes or a lot of shoes and stuff, because once you come here, it's the winters, you have to buy it over here, because it's like very different sort of clothing and very different sort of like let's say shoes that you need to use that are you are able to walk on the snow. So yeah, what's your suggestion, Mr. Peter, about it, like what things should a person bring?
Yeah, so as it was mentioned, definitely I will start from the second part, what to not bring. So definitely not to bring the winter clothes, because the winter here, it can be like even -10, and then like it's useless to bring from the warmer climate.
Yeah.
Definitely like most of the things you can buy here. So no need to bring here like cookers or utensils, like, okay, maybe spices make sense because it's quite expensive here, but still you can buy it, let's say, from Dukan. We can then share the link.
Yeah.
And but what to bring? Definitely don't forget all your documents in original.
Okay.
Make sure to have some cash reserve. Let's say at least 200-300 euros in cash with you. Have also some forex cards, so some option which you can then pay if you don't have cash with you.
And what's your expectation? How much money should a person carry while traveling or coming for the first?
Yeah, so if someone is coming, for example, for dormitories or even for the private accommodation, you cannot pay by the swiping. You need to pay either by cash or by the transfer from the bank. By the bank transfers, they will take maybe 2-3 days, and from outside it can even take longer, and you need to pay this amount before you sign the contract. So make sure to have some amount or some way to get this amount for the accommodation easily.
So Slovakia is in the Eurozone. It's good to carry euros, like converted at least from India or your native country, at least some amount, and then obviously once you come here to do the rest of the process.
Yes.
What's like what are the things a person needs to do once they arrive here in the first 7 days, or let's say the first month or so?
Yeah, so definitely to arrange local SIM card.
Okay.
But that's easy. That's like 5 minutes, and then for the unlimited internet, they pay maybe 12 to 15 euros per month.
All right.
Then bank account, usually that might take 40 minutes to 80 minutes to open.
Okay.
Some banks will ask you to have a residence permit,
Yeah.
but some, let's say Tatra Bank, they can open even with visas. IC card, that's important, for example, to get entrance to dormitories, to get discounts in canteens, in shops.
Okay.
And study confirmation, you never know when you will need it.
So the study confirmation is a paper from the study department of the university?
Yes. Like then you will need one more for the license permit process. But let's say these are the basics. Which
because like it's a bit different, by the way, for our viewers, that in India probably when we keep money in bank, we actually get interest on it, whichever bank we keep in. But over here, you have to pay money to keep your money in the bank. So if you're a student, you get it for free. So make sure you submit that document and get it done for free. So by the way, anything else that you want to like add as in like things to keep in mind when you are coming?
So once you come, like after these basic things are done, like the next thing will be going to the residence permit.
Okay.
For that, the expenses are not high. Basically, you just pay €5 or €25, depending how fast you wish to get your residence permit card. And once you finish this, you need to go for the medical checkup.
All right.
So my estimation would be to have maybe €400 for accommodation, like. If you go for public or private accommodation, I mean dormitories or private flats, this amount should be enough, and then maybe €200-300 as a reserve.
So the university as well offers some accommodations, right?
Yeah, yes. So it offers, like, there are total maybe 7 dormitories in various places in Kosice and Prešov, and you can get placed there. And usually there are many international students or exchange students.
Okay.
So maybe we can also touch this part, like what would be your suggestion, like to go for the dormitories or to go for the private accommodation?
Yeah, Nithin bro, what's you came first and you stayed in a dormitory, right? And then moved to a flat. So what's the idea?
So initially it is better to stay at the dormitories because it is less expensive when compared to the private flats, and dormitories are always the best options for a student to stay in because of these utilities. First thing, in Slovakia utilities are expensive, water, electricity and heating definitely. So for you to understand how much water should you use and how much electricity should you use, for you to get used to it, so it's better to stay at the dormitory. It is cheaper, and if you have any problem, you have someone to go to. So you can go to the reception, complain there is a light bulb not working or there is no hot water in your room. So you can tell it to someone. So it is better to stay there, and you have your colleagues, your classmates staying with you, and all of the students of the faculty, or let's say Indians, all the Indians are together. So you have any problem, you can go discuss with them. You have seniors who you can go to when you have some doubts, or when you have any problems you can ask. And let's say not just with studies, at least with other things, where to buy groceries, where can I find a bus ticket, or all of this. So you can ask. So they will tell you what application to use, how to commute and everything. So it is always better to stay in dormitory for at least a year, and then if you really want to shift out, you can shift. And I would say personally I would stay at dormitory until I graduate. So it's cheaper and it is more economical for anybody.
Yep, that's true, because even I remember myself like staying at the dormitory for a year and a half or so, and it's much better because the thing is, like, you maybe have 7:30 class and you have your classmates who are like banging your door like, dude, wake up, let's go for the class. Whereas if you stay alone, there's a chance you might miss it. You're doing homeworks until like night 11 or something like that. So you have this like entire vibe of your classmates as well as your seniors, and it's a good place, guided. And especially as you mentioned, bro, like you don't have to like ask your owner of the flat, so you just go to the reception of the dormitory and you tell like something is broken, something is not working, they instantly fix it. So whereas with like private accommodations, you have to like wait until like it gets solved, they hire some professional and so on. You maybe need to even pay for it, and also it's more expensive as well. There are restrictions though, like for example, you need to show IC card after 10 p.m. You, for example, like cannot play music after 10 p.m. and some restrictions are there. If someone is coming over to stay with you, you cannot like let them inside the dormitory to stay like after 10. They have to leave. So there are some restrictions obviously, but it's always good to start with the dormitory and then eventually move to flat when you find like a suitable accommodation in your budget. What are like your final suggestions someone coming should be mentally prepared? What are yours, like Nithin bro, like needs to keep in mind someone?
Yeah, for me, I think once when a student is planning to study in Slovakia, so things they should be ready for is, first thing is temperatures. If you're coming from north, south of or any part of India, you should be knowing the temperatures and dress accordingly. So in summer, wear the summer clothes. In winter, you wear the winter clothes. And always make sure you look neat and clean, because it is very important. And while coming to education, you spend more time studying at home or at the dormitory than studying in the university. So pay much interest and pay much attention to your assignments, and completing it on time is very important. And apart from education, other things is, when you're in a foreign country, you should be knowing documentation is important. So keeping track of your RP card, when is it expiring, what you should do, what is the next step, and everything. And keeping some extra money for emergency purpose is also important. And apart from all of this, I think being a foreign student, you should always be punctual and respect someone else's time. So being on time to the class, so when someone gives you an appointment, be there on time. So these are simple things which Indians we miss on, because we are used to it. That has to be fixed, so we cannot generalize it anymore. So
that's true. What are yours, Mr. Peter, like suggestion, like, because you see this big cultural shock every year, like students coming in and facing something, and then you get maybe complaints, maybe you hear something. What should a person mentally be prepared or prepare themselves for?
Yeah, so definitely I would mention that with the independence comes responsibility.
Very rightly said.
This is one thing, one statement which everyone should take into consideration, because
superpowers and super responsibilities.
Because of course, like, no one will. I would say in India, maybe the parents are more involved in solving all the issues,
yes,
or they take care of you and so on. But here, basically, everything will be your responsibility.
Yeah.
You are late for class. It's up to you. Like, if you don't want to attend a university, okay, but then your residence permit can be cancelled.
Exactly.
If you don't keep the room clean, okay, it's your responsibility, but then you are penalized. Absolutely. If you keep the heating on and you go for 2 weeks holiday, okay, but you need to pay for it if you are in private accommodation.
Yes.
If you don't study if you, for example, fail some subject, let's say in your faculty, next year you need to pay extra for that subject.
Yes.
Yes. So this is all some aspects that sounds like negative, but in the end, like,
it is important. Like, everyone needs to deal with these things.
Like, in long term, it pays back. But at beginning, this is the shock, like, which I see that it takes like few weeks, maybe months to get used to it. Yeah. But when you manage it, then it pays off in the long term.
Yeah, that's actually true, and especially as you mentioned, like, no one checks upon you, so that's a good and bad, boon and a bane at the same time. Like, obviously you're free to party every day, and at the same time, if you don't study, no one cares. Your residence card gets cancelled, your university gets cancelled. So you need to keep in mind what you came for, that study. So you need to study, you need to complete the assignments, and obviously go party how you want. But by the way, also when I applied for a visa, like the interviewer gave me a suggestion. She was like, I see many prominent students going over there. I see you as a bright student as well. Don't go and start drinking alcohol a lot. Okay, so maybe you can share some suggestions you have, like, for students, because or some experiences that students need to be careful about.
Okay, so then last thing which I want to tell, it's maybe also difficult to get used to the new currency.
Yeah.
So what I see is that people that are a little bit irresponsible with the funds at beginning. Yep. And then once they run out of the money, then they need to look for the part-time jobs. Yeah. And then, like, they miss the classes. So at beginning, like, it's important to manage your personal finances, because properly. Like, there even in this year there are some students who dropped because they didn't have money, and they, like, wasted all the money, and they went for some jobs, and then they didn't manage the school and jobs at the same time. So this is the final thing, to be also very conscious about the personal finances, especially in the first months.
Okay, yeah, that's absolutely true, because I mean, like, if you're spending like anything, and that's a general thing, because 50 rupees, you think 50 euros, like, let's go spend it. No one cares. So yeah, so it is important to be careful about in the very first few days. So thank you for watching the video, and hope you found some things insightful and some of the helpful things. Do share in the comments what are your expectations or experiences from Slovakia traveling abroad, and like the video, share it, subscribe to our channel for more videos. We have a lot of videos about jobs, about career scope, about all things that you might require as an international student, not only for Slovakia but all in general in Europe. So do like it, and until next time, do videnia.